Welcome, Pathfinders, to the Find the Past coverage of PaizoCon 2019. I am here with James Jacobs, the creative director for Paizo. How are we doing today, James?
Doing pretty good. This is we just finished my last seminar of the day, so now it's easy. It's coast mode.
Just kind of phone it in from here and just get to go home.
It's like, pretty much all I have to. My duties from here on out are get food and play games. So that's not bad. That's if you can get that kind of work where you get paid to play games. Works out pretty good.
Yeah, I think we would all take that job. So this is our fourth PaizoCon, and I will say for me personally, I think this is probably the best PaizoCon that I've been to yet, and I'm not just saying that because it's the one that I'm covering right now. So any highlights from this PaizoCon for anything that you've enjoyed? I imagine you've been to all of them, so...
Well, the thing that's really exciting about this one is this is where we've really been able to start talking about the second edition of Pathfinder. It's something we've been working on for a couple of years now with the playtest just last year, and even before that, we're doing a lot more work on it. So being able to show off a lot of the cool art we've got coming up, talk about some of the upcoming adventure paths, it's just a big chance to, finally share what we've been working with. We've had to be kind of quiet about is really kind of a relief.
Absolutely. And so in the banquet, which of course anyone watching this can check out on the Paizo Twitch stream, and I imagine that'll be on the Paizo YouTube channel eventually.
Yeah.
You made a lot of amazing announcements. The new adventure path, the Extinction Curse, the game mastery guide that you'll have coming out. I believe just so many phenomenal products. Do you have anything that you're super excited for the fans to get in their hands out of all the new products coming out? I imagine everything, but something that jumps.
Yeah, I mean, the core rules and the bestiary obviously are things that I think people are going to be really, really excited about. The one that I've been working on the most, I worked a fair amount on the bestiary, but the thing I've been working on the most lately is the Age of Ashes Adventure Path, which is the first Pathfinder Second Edition Adventure Path. It's launching at Gen Con. So just like 5 minutes ago, I said I'm finally relieved to be able to talk about stuff, but there's certain elements in the Age of Ashes Adventure Path I'm not quite ready to talk about yet. But it's going to explore one of the characters in the setting that we've had pretty much from the start. That's been one of the most intriguing and interesting characters in Galarian, and has been the subject of many message board debates. This guy's going to have a lot of his mysteries laid bare in this adventure path, and your player characters are going to get a chance to decide if this character is a bad guy or a good guy. Yeah. And that's pretty exciting. Once the adventure path's out on August 1st at Gen Con, it's all going to be in there. There's going to be a relatively extensive game master background for everything. If you want to start running Age of Ashes right out of the gates, we'll give you a lot more information about what's coming. So that'll be out there, and people will know about who I'm talking about. I
have my theories, but I'm not saying anything. So
I keep expecting whenever I do panels and seminars and Twitch streams and ask James questions and stuff, people are just going to ask. And I've told myself if they ask straight up, I will confirm or deny. But nobody's done it so far, so I'm kind of like, all right, well, we'll wait for Gen Con.
Well, that is great. I know all of us are excited for Gen Con, for the release, for the 1,000 pages of product that you're putting out on day one, which is a milestone in and of itself.
Now,
and
it's not quite accurate to say it's 1,000 pages, because that's 1,000 pages in the core rulebook plus the bestiary.
True.
There's also the Age of Ashes adventure. There's Jason Bowman's adventure, Paul Plaguestone. There's the character record folio. There's the GM screen. And everything we're doing for Starfinder.
Yeah.
So it is a lot. Oh, the campaign setting, the Lost Omens World Guide, that's another 132 pages. So it's spitting all over the place. I'm frothing at the mouth. This is just so great. But so yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff coming up that is. Oh man, yes. One of the things I was really excited about in the Lost Omens World Guide, we are looking at the world, the Inner Sea region, and for the first time, as far as I know, we got in here where coffee comes from and best places to get seafood and all of that. Resources,
that's amazing.
Trade resources and stuff like that are going to be in the book. So that's something I've been working on trying to get in there for years, and there's just never been the right place to put it in, and so we got it now.
That's phenomenal. And And will that be like listed in the chapter headings with like major exports, imports, or
sort of? It's we've divided the Intersea region into 10 different subregions. So you got like the Saga lands, which includes this, the Varissia, New Thassalon, the lands of the Linorm Kings, Irison, these places where these amazing ancient stories are told. There's Old Cheliax, which is of course Cheliax, but also it's one-time thralls of like Isger and allies like Nadal. So we've got these areas kind of split into these thematic regions, and there's 10 of them. And each one of them opens up with this kind of full-page, kind of giant 2-page, actually, illustration up over the top, a zoomed-in map down on the left side of the page. On the right side, it's got sort of like this little travelogue information where it's got like the languages that are spoken there, the ancestries that are common there, what alignments are most common there, religions. And there's a big box that has all of these symbols for like seafood or magic items or mercenaries or ships or stuff like that. So it doesn't really go into full detail about what comes from where, but it starts narrowing it down. And then in the text, of course, itself, it'll have a section on like imports and exports.
I'm very much looking forward to knowing what all I would normally find in a market in Osirian. That's going to be something great to add
Mummy
to
dust.
that. Mummy dust, yeah, of course. All the mummy that you want to buy and use and probably don't want to use. So you've had a lot of time. Well, I don't know a lot of time, but you've had a fair amount of time to work with the to play with the rules, to see Second Edition, have Second Edition in action. Is there any sort of feat or class feature or anything that you particularly love that you're really excited to see players get their hands on and put to use? Or, I'm certain that the moment it's out, people are going to start trying to figure out the broken combinations to put things together.
I've got sort of two answers to that. I've got the thing that I'm most excited for people to play with, like that I want to play with, and there's something that I'm most excited with quantifying in the rules as how the world works, and it's sort of I think maybe controversial. I'll do the easy one first. Bard is still one of my favorite classes, and early in the playtest, I wanted to play a Bard. I wanted to see if I wanted to make the type of Bard I wanted to make, and I decided to make a half elf, and the way that the playtest handled, half elves and bards, you make these choices and suddenly there's only one route. Every bard you make, if it's a half elf, is kind of the same bard no matter what you do. Yeah. And that was kind of unsatisfying because I want to do more than one bard.
Absolutely.
And so I was talking with the design guys, Jason and Mark Seifter in particular, Jason Bowman and Mark Seifter there. Anyway, so and it was brought this up, and they're like, "Oh yeah," because you look at the sorcerer, they've got all these different bloodlines. You look at the barbarian, they've got these different types of instincts they can do. The wizard has schools, deities, our clerics have deities. Everybody's got these choices. The bard didn't have that. So one of the things they came up with for bards was each bard has its own different muse, and the type of muse you pick, be it like a poet or a dancer or something like that, will influence the type of magic that you can then experience and that you can build on. And it's a really kind of a simple addition to the Bard class, but it doesn't take up much footprint at all on the page. But it is something that I think we can expand upon in a lot of really interesting directions going forward. So that's the thing that I'm most excited about for myself. I'm eager to figure out what I can do with the muse abilities.
Absolutely.
The other side, the more controversial thing, in first edition Pathfinder, for a cleric, you could worship your deity, and your alignment had to be within one step of that alignment, of the deity's alignment. And that was sort of a kludge, I always felt. And it made things a little bit squirrely. Like you have Rovagug, who's this giant insectoid, end-of-the-world creature living inside of like this demi-plane in the core of the planet. And he's chaotic evil because he's all about destruction. And all the other gods had to team up and work together. You had like angels and devils working together to seal him away. He's bad news. But in first edition, you don't have to be evil to worship him. You could be chaotic neutral. I worship Rovagug, but I'm kind of a good guy. And, I could just be just sort of like a happy-go-lucky, the world's going to end. It's okay, but... And that always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Yeah. So going forward in second edition, for all of the deities, we're curating what sorts of alignments clerics can be when they worship them. Okay. So you'll get something like Rovagug, and I'm not able to remember off the top of my head. You can't be chaotic neutral and worship Rovagug. You have to be chaotic evil. You might be able to be neutral evil and worship Rovagug. but I'm not sure off the top of my head. I think those are the only two. For Sarenrae, for example, she's neutral good. We've always said that she can have paladins. You can still be lawful good or neutral good or chaotic good and worship Sarenrae. But she's all about goodness. You can't be neutral. In order to worship Sarenrae, you have to embrace the goodness.
Yeah.
Characters like Zon Cathan has like 4 different sort of types of incarnations his religion works in.
Yeah.
Most of them are neutral evil, but there's one that might allow you to be just neutral and worship him.
Huh.
So one thing that this does allow us to do is it allows us to kind of curate what sorts of alignments work well with each deity. And it's I think, going to have clerics be more like on focus. You know, if you come across somebody who's worshiping Rovagug, you expect them to be like maniacal, like crazy world ender things. You don't expect somebody to be like a happy-go-lucky sort of swashbuckler. And I think this is going to probably help. We'll see how it works out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, even things like Abadar, who's just kind of the god of law and order, but can have true neutral followers.
Yeah.
It's a little bit odd. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's really intriguing. I'm actually really excited to see that.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more work. We have to list for every deity we put into the setting what their appropriate alignments are. But I think it's worth it.
Any chance? Well, I'm sure there's always a chance, but any chance we might see in the future maybe a feat that lets you take an extra step away from those alignments?
I would rather not do that in Pathfinder. I think that really erodes. I guess I kind of hate to use like marketing talk, but it erodes the brand. Like this really comes into being from this old chestnut of like the Paladin of Asmodeus, and it's like I could be a Paladin of Asmodeus if I am super pedantic and just follow everything. It's like I'm not quite evil, and that just makes Asmodeus feel like not as evil.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, well, no, that all sounds like great things. And of course, in addition to writing games, in addition to being the creative director and working on all these products, much as most of the Paizo staff is your gamers as well as game creators. So do you have any antics, any anecdotes that you would like to share from your recent gaming experiences?
Sure. So one of the things going on with right now with Second Edition, all that is, I've been so focused on like wrapping up a lot of the First Edition content and then getting a lot of the Second Edition stuff in. I've really not had a lot of time to play in or run any First Edition, either Pathfinder games. So that's one of the things I'm actually really looking forward to now that PaizoCon is almost behind us and the books are up to the printer. I'm going to be going back to work and say, hey, is anybody starting a game up? I've been considering starting one up myself. I don't know what I do with it yet, but the thing that I've been playing lately is I've been playing Starfinder. And that's really kind of refreshing to me because I'm the creative director on the Pathfinder side of things. Yeah. So I know a lot of the adventures. I know what's going on with all this stuff. I don't really have that much insight into Starfinder. I just don't have the time to be involved in that. And so I get to experience Starfinder as a player. Yeah. Which is something that's actually kind of refreshing. So I've been playing through, Rob McCurry's running us through the Dead Sons Adventure Path. We're about maybe halfway through the 3rd book so far, and my character, Zero Zinzi, is a Lashunta I started out as an envoy, and it's like, maybe I want a sniper rifle. So I'm sort of drifting into operative and all that, and one of the sort of quirks that I've settled on with this character is she's got she's sort of she carries around a can of spray paint and has been tagging. She's got this social media thing, Violet Riot. So check it out. So every time she goes on an adventure, she's trying to build up her followers and all of that, and like doing little VR Violet Riot tags on everything, getting yelled at for like tagging like important statues and stuff like that. But they shouldn't have put that there. But I've got this thing where it's like she's got a new T-shirt every day, like coming up with something like Zombie Donkey, and it's got a zombie donkey on the cover, and he's saying brains, and just coming up with these weird little kind of spins on like pop culture that you can't really do in a fantasy setting, but it fits right in with something like Starfinder. It's kind of fun to play with. Yeah,
it's hard to spray paint things in Pathfinder. So that
it's interesting. I mean. So we went to Casterville at one point in this, and now I get to tell you about my character. So she's Lashunta, so she's from Casterville. So the entire party comes. She's like, oh, we're in Casterville. I can get some snookers. I can't wait. And everybody's like, what? What are you talking about? Like snookers. They're like, so I go into this big detail. It's basically a Snickers bar, but it's square instead of long, and it's got pink filling instead of nougat. And I got all excited, so I bought this giant stack of snookers. And I was and then we go on to this other continent where like all of the awful monsters live, and it's super hot, and all my snookers melted. It was very sad.
So you heard it here first. Snookers official snack of Casterville.
They're so delicious.
Delicious.
Yeah, they're berry flavored.
Ooh.
Razzleberry.
Ooh, razzleberry.
Yeah.
So there you have it.
They may look a little sort of like nuclear glow to it, but that's part of the charm.
So thank you so much for sitting down, doing this interview with us. PaizoCon has been phenomenal this year. Looking forward to Gen Con. That's going to be for August 1st. That's going to be all the releases, so you can pre-order them. I believe pick them up from Gen Con if you're going there. So if you haven't given Paizo all your money, go ahead and give Paizo all your money.
Yay, money.
Yay. So until next time, good luck, Pathfinders.
Yep. Thanks a lot.